Hello my friends, today is April the 25th, 2018. Just about, well, 1 month ago, 1 month and 1 week ago, you can see here, there was a brand new laptop. Actually, a laptop from the program menu. That means maximum 8 days old. The laptop would be that customer would return to manufacturer, and the manufacturer would inspect one, do the replacement of whatever is necessary, would be necessary to do before the computer would be placed back on the market. Basically, you can see here 404 euros. A laptop is right there. The irony about it is, as much as I would love to use this laptop, a laptop is over a year old, and as I have suggested, already had seals broken on motherboard and stuff like this. So I'm gonna say not a good situation at all. And you know, when I say as much as I would love to use one, is because this is what I'm going to demonstrate for you tomorrow, because all my batteries are basically dead. This laptop here, I have measured the radiation that exceeded 50 multiplied with what is allowed for the laptop to transmit radiation. Okay, I am just gonna put it this way. I'm gonna play you the video from another individual who took time, I guess, to research this. Here is the video. You can see for yourself, and then you can make your own conclusions.
Project, how the heck are you? It's kind of fun. You can see here I have the EMF detector on my computer, just sitting there hanging out, and it is staying at about 0.49, approximately 0.5 UT micro Teslas. It shouldn't be more than 0.1. Anything over 0.1 is considered unsafe. You can see it just popped up there at 0.55.
Okay, this, what you have seen right here, is really nothing compared to my laptop. It really is not. But he stated anything over 0.1 is considered as unsafe. Now, I don't really know this individual. What you see is about the same thing I have purchased, but he does have about 236,000 subscribers, which is quite a lot. 250 likes and 9 dislikes only for this video. So there must be something that the individual did when it comes to the homework in respect to this. 50 times the amount that is allowed. As the people told me, actually on YouTube, I've heard people saying that it's about 0.10 microtesla that is allowed to transmit the radiation, this thing here. It's 50 times more. It went over 5 and microteslas, and that's a lot. This thing is very, very unhealthy. Actually, what is strange is, I cannot do this now because the batteries are dead. What's strange is that all this area here, all this area where I am, the walls, it's like everything, it's like radiating here. So what have they done here? What kind of stuff they were doing here? I do not know. I'm just saying that as much as I would love to use that laptop, you know, I can't. It hurts. 1 month, 1 week, you pay for it. In the end, you get something completely different from what you have paid for. And now I'm going to explain to you what exactly went on with the laptop, precisely who was behind it all, why these things have happened. Let's try this again. The batteries are weak, the batteries are falling apart, but luckily there is a solution. That solution, however, it will come tomorrow, not today. To me, is that every time when I record, when I start recording like this, whenever I check, and it's happened several times, it was like over 5.0. Wow. And when I take the camera in my hands and I start recording, it goes to 1.5, which is still tremendously a lot. And so it doesn't come to me really why that would be the case, and yet this is yet a gain that's happening. Then the memory kicks in. I don't know where this is true or not. I see that I checked, and I did realize that the internet cable was connected in. They have suggested me under MK Ultra that they would, the laptop would be modified to the degree that even radiation from this laptop would be manipulated on the distance remotely. Even this is the stuff that they would actually do. It didn't come to me, and right now when I'm thinking about this stuff, right here behind me, the stuff that you see here, I'm so sorry that my testers are dead right now. I'm gonna try to get some batteries out of my father's room tomorrow, but they're dead. The testers are dead right now. But if I would go with a tester, it would be like this away. All this here with the resonates like totally radiation. And when it comes to computer, boy, that goes over a meter behind me. So what I'm actually suspecting right now, and it goes everywhere. It goes all these walls everywhere I am. So including wood. And the new table, this table is a wood material. So it comes to me that there's actually a possibility that this radiation is actually so powerful and remotely manipulated. If there are micro cameras in here, which I was told on a million occasions on our MK Ultra brainwash that there would be, that would actually allow an individual to really perform something like this. And guess what? I was going to delete what you're about to see it again, but I didn't. And I came back and I actually got just a partial thing that did suggested that radiation goes all the way to something over 7.5. Who the hell knows, maybe goes even more. If somebody's seeing you, what do you do? And when you take Android or camera and you start to record, I have no idea. It might lower that dose of radiation, or it might then again increase one, and you don't even know. You call the police, you call somebody that somebody is doing something to you, and nobody can actually find any proofs because computer can be modified in such a way. It just really got to me that they did talk about that stuff that they're gonna do. So whether have they done this, I do not know. The only thing I can tell you is that it's crazy that you would have such a powerful amount of radiation, and that you would, all these walls would start to basically beam radiation behind you and stuff like this. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. I also cannot help myself but to pay attention to the stuff, the fact that when I started to measure for the second time, it's now only showing like 72, 70 and stuff like this. Yeah, 140 something, 150, stuff like this. No, 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 it's not true at all. I mean, if there are no micro cameras in here, how come radiation would go from 5.0, or it was over 5, to 1.5 if there are no cameras, micro cameras in here? What does this two things, what this got to do with it? Is it perhaps that this computer here is modified in such a way that something is used inside of the computer to boost the radiation? It's maybe this why that I have such a sound in my ears, the pressure sound. 5.0, it's over 50 times of what is permitted radiation. And with this kind of technology, you could bring the police over, check the place, and nobody would absolutely detect anything. The only thing that would happen is person would be irradiated like a mouse, basically. And nobody would believe the person. This is one of the things that is going to be looked into it. You could hear this. And the radiation went down from 5.0 to just this thing here that you see. So this is, to me, sounds to me like a strange. Okay, now it's indicating actually even 7.5. 7.5. That's a lot. That's about 75 times, more than 75 times of what is permitted, that according to the laws that person is exposed to when it comes to the laptops. So you can imagine how much I would love to use this laptop. Very much I would love to use this laptop, and that's why I have paid for one. And I did not pay for. I am going to tell you precisely what I have not paid for. I have not paid for this computer, this very computer, to have destroyed, modified it basically into a kill machine, tool that drives an individual totally insane and radiates him and kills him. And I also didn't pay for everything that you're about to see was destroyed. Everything you have seen was destroyed. In other words, I didn't pay to Vladimir Putin and Serbian President Alexander Vucic. You know, the memory totally kicked in about my niece's husband, Mitya Weber. Totally kicked in. He discussed modification of this computer and all sorts of stuff that he would do to this, they would do to this stuff, so they could collect the money from the Israel, so they could collect the money from United States of America, and Americans were involved in it. And I am going to hold United States of America responsible, just as I'm going to hold Slovenia responsible. But I want to say I also am going to hold foremost responsible Serbia and Russia. In respect to my case, I am going to file not a criminal complaint, but a genocide complaint against Russia and Serbia. Alexander Vucic, before one became a president, was here in this house. Psychiatrist Zoran Muja from Ljubljana took me to his apartment in Belgrade, during MK Ultra on several occasions. You know, these people have basically wrapped themselves in so many lies. Nor should Vladimir Putin nor Vucic, not people like this, should not even be any kind of politicians in the first place. These people should swipe floors in the factories at its best, as these people are not qualified to be politicians. These people don't have any ethics, and foremost, they have turned themselves into criminals, into hardcore criminals. Their voracious plan against me, and unfortunately Israel got involved in it. It can be proven that this neighbor here did very bad stuff against me on behalf of Israel. But the idea, the Israeli idea, was to basically cover up, protect Vladimir Putin. And so was Americans and Germans and so on. And I already have explained why that was. They wanted to do this because they need him for the global imperial neo-Nazi takeover of the world, New World Order agreement, same agreement as Germany, Japan, and Italy had before the World War II. That's why they needed him, that's why they keep him. And this is why, folks, things are going to get extremely, they already got it, things already got totally, I'm going to say, impossible for the people in Ukraine. In Russia or Ukraine, even female journalists are murdered. People are getting killed left and right. And neo-Nazism, fascism is actually sponsored by the Kremlin, by the Russia, very often time in Baltic states through the Germany, as Germany and Russia are in bed with one another. Unfortunately today, it came to situation is such that today's uniforms, if you want, when they celebrate World War II victory in Moscow Square, those uniforms are just the different colors from what neo-Nazis used to have. The torture methods, the degree of abuse of the genocide that these people are engaging towards people from Baltic states, from Poland, against Ukrainian people, in Slovenia against people like myself. Just recently I read the news about a Croatian guy. This individual I didn't want to even mention going to that because he hit two ladies, and he was a boxing champion, and he hit two ladies and stuff like this, and he was arrested. And although I knew all about it, I can tell you I knew all about it because I was told about this is going to happen in advance. Individuals got a residency in Miami, and if you remember, I spent no less than 12 years in Miami. That's where MK Ultra went on. That's where Putin and Vucic and all these politicians have a very strong connections. It's where basically people, you know, with all this overseas cruise industry is based. If you want job, you come to Miami. If you want job aboard the ship, you go to Miami. That's how I got to the US. And so everybody from here is basically going through Miami. So they have extremely strong connections. And it is totally regretful, the stuff he did. In my opinion, you know, touching a female is an extremely heavy offense in my eyes. This is just almost as bad as it gets, really. You should really get what you deserve and more. I'm just going to put it this way. But the fact of the matter is that he would have never done this if it wasn't for Mr. Zoran Muja. Now, this is the psychiatrist who was involved in case against me in overseas abductions together with Tatiana Prokshur. Tatiana Prokshur was quite normal lady from beginning, but she had a problem handling rejection. That's one thing, and another thing is that Mr. Zoran Muja
That individual is a very dangerous individual. And I think he was the one who turned her really into something this lady never was. She shouldn't be. I'm not defending her. I am going to file criminal complaint against her. She shouldn't be doing. She should not get in any stuff like this. But I think that she was poisoned by the people, by the politicians, by things she should never get into it in the first place. And it's a lady. Ladies get manipulated easily. In respect to Alexander Vucic, I'm only going to say that this is a criminal, hardcore criminal that got also well connected with Israelis. Fortunately, I have to be honest about all this stuff. And together with Borut Pahor, this is totally regretful politician, together with these criminals and criminals from the Russia, Lavrov, Medvedev, Putin, these people came up with a plan on basically how they're going to do all this stuff, and for what I would blame all Israel for in the US, and I would collect the money. And they also came up with a plan that they would irradiate me with X-ray guns, with microwaves, with ultrasound, to the point that I would basically collect the money on what this country here, and they would get the money. So they would basically kill me, they would give me a cancer and collect the money. That's called a collateral murder, ladies and gentlemen. It's called a genocide. These people have blocked me through connections in the US, Europe. You know, when you want to do something like this to someone from Eastern Europe and you're a politician, you don't really need very strong connections, because we are not really equal to the German people in Germany or in the US or anything like this, to the Anglo-Saxons and so on. So you don't actually need any strong connections. They with the pleasure gonna kill you if you're from Eastern Europe, or make your life impossible. It's really a simple thing to do. They do it with the pleasure over there. They don't have any problem with it. I'm not going to forget what was done to me in Germany when I filed for political asylum, what the Germans have done with me, basically done tests on me like on a human experiment animal. Brain implants, I'm 100% I have them. In this whole thing, and I would really love to see Polish people and Ukrainian people and Baltic people and everybody else to listen about this stuff. In this whole thing, Israel, all through involved, since 2000 and I think maybe, I don't know, 13 or something like this, to now, just about a month ago when I changed my opinion about Israel, 2 months maybe, something like this now already. My views on Israel is what I really changed, and you're gonna see. Diarrhea stopped. Netanyahu actually promised me that under MK Ultra that for the time, whatever I'm gonna do, I'll be free to talk against Israel, whatever, but what's gonna happen is they're gonna basically use microwave to upset my intestines, what would produce diarrhea and stuff like that. So Israel is involved in it. Definitely Netanyahu did some really bad bits. He really did not have to do any of this stuff. It was really unnecessary. Really was unnecessary. But what I want to say is that the Israel, despite everything that Israel have done, and Israel is got the least to do with it. The one who's got to do with it, I don't know what that means, but somebody smacked the door. Okay, I don't know anything about what that was all about. I had situations when at night time when I would go sleep, the neighbor would obviously neighbor would knock the door, and then the radiation would start and stuff like that. So I was kind of sure that maybe I could even catch up with someone or something, but really there's no way, because there's mom and father room 2 meters, 3 meters away from mine. I'm not getting in there and play with the stuff like that. But it looks like I have an interesting topic, so let's continue. Well, basically what I want to say is that none of the stuff that have happened to me in Slovenia would have happened without the full permission of the Kremlin, on Moscow, Vladimir Putin, and even more importantly, Belgrade. In respect to the Belgrade, I'm just going to put it this way. Belgrade gestured me on how Putin will be doing. Putin didn't hide his appetites about doing all this stuff to me, and how nothing I will be capable to do, because this is going to be such a global agreement. But he deeply underestimated me. These people all underestimated me. They did not believe that one man could go as far as this, as I did. I don't know how much you remember me in 2010 when all this started. My God, when I started to talk about these things, I appeared like almost, I would say, this guy's crazy if I would see myself. Because I had not one book inside of my head to tell. I had about maybe 100 books to tell of what went on under MK Ultra, the abuse, the torture. It was almost the kind of impossible thing to do. And then along this stuff, to bring the topics that are interesting, political stuff and so on, so you get the thing going, so you get the audience and stuff like this. What I want to say is that Vucic, Serbian president, told me, but I'm sorry, we will not be capable to do anything for you, because Putin and America promised us a return of the Kosovo. So now this very individual, this Vucic, came up with a plan on how he's going to basically murder me, kill me. Zoran Muja had presented himself to me as a secret Yugoslav undercover, underground official. That these people are all over ex-Yugoslavia. He had another individual with him under MK Ultra who assisted him, and also works in the same department with Muja, in the same hospital, who was also with him, present all the time. Really pleasant guy. But, and it's nothing more than I would love to help. But, when it comes to the issues like this, such a criminal issues like this, I don't think that I can do anything for the nations that support this type of politic. This is a genocide. There was a tremendous genocide that went on in Ukraine against Ukrainian people. There was a genocide that went on in the Baltic states against the Baltic people. There was a genocide that went on against the Polish people in Poland, and it was done by the Russians. And when it comes to the Serbia, I'm going to put it this way. There was a war that broke up right here in Slovenia. Tanks were in the streets, people were killed, airplanes even bombed. Situation and it was because of what went on in the Kosovo, where it was a mass slaughter of Albanian people. Mass slaughter. It was like you see now almost in Syria. In Croatia, it ended with a Vukovar. If you ever heard of the city Vukovar, and there was a mass slaughter of Croatian people all over the Croatia. Bosnia was even worse. till the Secretary of the Clinton have decided to do something that I believe Russia deliberately failed. I believe Russia had the capacities to stop what went on in the Balkans, what Serbia performed on other nations that were together in Yugoslav Federation, but have deliberately failed to do so. Till actually America have done, which Americans always wanted to do, because Americans, unfortunately Americans really bombarded Serbia even when already, there were no Germans in Belgrade and stuff like this. It's like kind of a German thing. No, we're really not very much appreciated. It's basically how I feel about it. And I would most definitely be more happy in Yugoslavia. I would most definitely be very happy with Yugoslavia if we had all these countries, all these states again back. But the problem with this is that the nations, the Serbs, the Russians, in my personal opinion, should form their own federation because of different views on us, because of, how can I say, me as an immigrant, I was in the US, I was in Scandinavia, I was on many different places, and I was in Ukraine, and I was in Hungary and in Belarus. And let me say something like this. Let me explain this. When in the U.S. and they tried me so hard, American government tried and tried and tried so hard. Look, and they could not succeed in turning me against the U.S. Trying to obtain some kind of proofs about my, any kind of dissidents, communists. Any type of stuff they have preached to people, it's illegal against me. Throughout my entire stay in the U.S., that's basically from 95 and, well, all the way till I exited, even in 2009. At the end of the 2009, on million occasions they tried. Never ever, always was pro-American, always have defended American point of views when in the States, but I have never allowed any American to say anything against Slovenia, against Slovenian people, because whenever I was asked, even that I was brainwashed time and again to see myself as a German, I have always told them that I am Slovenian, and I was very, very proud about it. Now, despite that all along under MK Ultra, I have dealt with the people like Vladimir Putin, with Vucic, with people like my niece's husband that is a total traitor, criminal, Miroslav Berger here, who portrayed himself as a communist and stuff like this. People that really would present themselves as a communists, but really these people were everything what I should say fascism, Nazism, and corruption stands for. And that's why I started to hate communism with a passion. And it was a weakness. It was a weakness because fact of the matter is, if you don't understand something really, really well, if you just hear people like David Duke and, a bunch of these people, this propaganda, mass propaganda and stuff, if you don't understand, it's actually, and, you come across the people like this in a situation like this, you really start to hate something that you don't even know what is all about. But because of the circumstances, because of what is happening today in Russia, one is even, like I said, financing neo-Nazi fascist movements throughout this Baltic states, in Poland even, and Ukraine and stuff like this. Because of the stuff like this, because what is happening is actually totally indifferent because of what have happened to me. Is only the stuff that was happening in neo-Nazi concentration camps. Because of the stuff like this, we have to see the situation that otherwise would connect us. Poles are first to equal communism with neo-Nazism, and I very, very much disagreed with this. I was horrified. How could that possibly be with? And in my opinion, I will always remain a communist in my heart because I always want to keep respect for elderly people. I want to love women. I want to cherish women and children because they're the most precious in this world. This is whom I want to dedicate my life to. But, you know, because of the stuff like this that's happening, because there is the only difference with these people is just the color of the uniform, it is really necessary to do what Poles have done. It's really necessary to equal communism with fascism, Nazism. I should say because the people who claim to be something that are not, it's necessary to equal communism with Nazism, fascism. I believe a real communism only is in China, but China is far away. That's a long way from here. And so for us to survive here, I will tell you, for us to survive here, it's going to be a necessary, a very, very serious approach toward what is happening. And today I have gestured on my news site for Baltic states, for Poland, Ukraine, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria. I don't think Hungary wants to be on board because Hungary is in a bandwagon with Germany. They would like to get Slovakia and portion half of Romania and Slovenia and stuff like this. And so I'm not going to go into it. It's, to me personally, that's totally unrealistic. When you are trying to grab something and you yourself become part of some sort of, you yourself become a colony of somebody else, basically Germany. That's what Germans have in plan. This is something I'm not interested in. I wish Hungarian people that I love very much. They're very beautiful. I had a wonderful time in Hungary. One of the kindest people in the world. Love Hungarian people. But in respect to the Viktor Orban, I gotta say I wish them a good luck in pursuing whatever they're gonna pursue. So, I came up with a plan that for us to survive, really for us to survive, so you folks would not go through what I went through, so the same would not repeat that already have happened in Ukraine, and it's even happening today when people getting killed left and right, including journalists. So the same would not repeat in Poland, in Baltic states, and so on. We would have to, I believe, form some sort of military as well as economical alliance, which would allow us to practice our own languages inside of our countries and protect our right basically to exist. Regarding the identities and stuff like this, I believe all this stuff would be only possible. And in my eyes, in my view, if we go back to who foremost is deserved for what's happened to me, well, in Slovenia, definitely Moscow, because Slovenia is Kremlin satellite. That's all there is. That's a Belgrade Kremlin satellite. That's all there is. And in the United States of America, of course, it is the U.S. government, right? I mean, you can't tell me the Jews told Kremlin and what they have to do. And the Jews told Germans what they have to do against me and against and Scandinavians and Americans what they have to do, and they had to comply with it. That's a good night story. That's a crap. That's not true. They are the ones that are foremost responsible for it, not the Jews. The Jews could have actually killed me on a million occasions if they wanted to. They traveled along with me across the Hungary and Ukraine and I was not that I wasn't all the time with them together in Vitebsk, because everywhere I went they were. The whole Vitebsk turned into an Israel. On a million occasions they could, and in Miami, and back and forth and so on. But they didn't do this. They chose a little different turn, different route. And so the way I feel about this stuff, folks, is that for us to survive, not only would be necessary to form this kind of alliance, economical and military common alliance that would protect us from the Moscow, from the Kremlin, from total incompetence and unwillingness of the people to basically live by the laws of the countries where they are. And I'm talking about Russian people, I'm talking about the Serbian people. Unfortunately, people I would never ever want to talk about, because I actually love these people. I really do. However, when it comes to something, when you live in certain country, you have to respect and the laws over there and people. The last thing you want to do is basically engage in genocide against people. In America, I lived there like an American. In Slovenia, I did not allow anybody to talk anything against my U.S. citizenship. I was insulted based on my U.S. citizenship. They spit on me. They spit on my car I bought in America. They spit on my computer that was American, Hewlett-Packard. They spit on everything that I had American. Everything, it was no good. In the end, what they did was they placed old tires. They changed me new tires that I purchased not too far from here. And they placed me old tires in the car with the idea to get me even killed. Regardless of this, whatever the hell I was, including in this country, I did not betray nor American flag, not Slovenian flag, but I gotta say in 2017, because of this stuff, because of the U.S. denial, because of what they have done to me in the U.S., because they treated me no different from prisoners in Guantanamo, because of everything I have done, I have also decided no longer to sponsor, some kind of American views, but rather take realistic approach toward the whole thing. And so what I want to say is that in Belarus, I was willing to go in the Belarus army. I did report it myself even to the service, to the military service. I did presented myself willing to go to defend Belarus against Americans, because they threatened with this NATO and things. I wanted to let them know that I am, in Slovenian we say na raspolago, that I am available if it's needed to defend Belarus border, Russian borders, whatever. What I'm trying to say, folks, is that whatever the hell you do, whatever you got to do it the honest way, not the dirty criminal way. You got to live according to the laws, whatever the hell you are. You got to respect people. And in my personal opinion about the Jews, I did mention our cooperation that would be so much needed. By the way, Belarus should be part of this union too. Maybe the most beautiful country in the world is the Belarus. That's where Russian people are, and Polish people, and Baltic people, and Ukrainian people. For me, this is a heaven on earth. And the people that I met in Belarus, I believe this should be a really Russian president. One individual, his name is Slava Semyonovich. I just did not understand these people very well, because they liked Israel, and at that time I was not for the Israel. So, but today it's a different story. What I want to say is that there are so many young people, Russian people, so intelligent people that could offer so much, such a promising people, potential, young potential. What I want to say is for us to be free from Moscow, from Kremlin, from Belgrade, from criminality, which is also based in Berlin. Berlin, Germany, this is the biggest evil you possibly can imagine. for us to be free from somebody going in our countries, sponsoring in us Nazism, fascism, even through the Germany, I believe that we should, I believe that we should hug Jewish morals. I believe that we should include Jews. Instead of the Israel, professor told me, I'm not going to say his name, but he's from Vitebsk. He told me, he said, about 70% of the people, he said, did you know about 70% of the people in Israel speak Russian? Do you know how many people in Israel are from Russia? Slavic people, also Polish. Poles also told me lots of Polish people. Romanian people love Israel because Israel helped them a lot. Everybody, actually, nobody really can really say anything bad about Israel. And another thing about it is, this state of the Israel, in consideration to 40 million of our Slavic people that were murdered in World War II, I think that we have so much in common that we have to protect in respect to ethics, morale, not to mention Israeli military capabilities. Have you seen, folks, by the way, how they have sold really some advanced weapons to some countries and stuff like this? These are the weapons Ukraine, Poland, and all others are never going to get through allies. You're never going to get stuff like this, but Israel has got plenty of that kind of stuff, plenty of that kind of arsenal, plenty of technological advancement. And in Vitebsk, these Jewish girls were crazy about Belarusian guys. They wanted to meet, they like it, they like Slavic culture, they are addicted to the Slavic culture, they can identify with us. You know, considering the wealth they have, considering they want to be part of us, try to survive, and what everything, all this cooperation could do for us, that we would be basically free from genocide in our countries. You know, I give like super green light to the Israel. This is just something you want to think about. You want to go over that, folks. When it comes to computer issues and shit like this is what Vucic was all about. All the stuff that was done to me, they try to portray to me as in some form of educational way, like everything they're doing to me, all this shit, is a form of help. You know, and they suggested me on how I should just open every computer I'm gonna get, whatever I buy, and look inside and open the cables for the internet and look inside that there is not something, and look at the mouse, and they drove me nuts. They got me on the MK Ultra and they compelled me to look into the computer, to go to open everything, look into it and stuff, parts and stuff like this. With an Android, with the magnifiers, zoom magnifiers and shit like this, Mitya Weber did. It's a sadistic maniac. And everything that was done to me supposedly would be a form of aid, help. Not that they have tortured me. Like you don't even do stuff like this to animals. Not even Germans have done this in a concentration camps. What psychiatrists have done to me, stuff like this. SS didn't do stuff like this. And all this shit I should consider as a help, as a form of aid and stuff like this. Folks, the problem with the Serbs and with the Russians is that once they accumulate in a certain place, in a certain country, in a certain location, they have a tendency to cause real problems. They have a tendency to get involved in a crime even against US citizens like myself across the seas, through the criminality, through the connections. And, you know, because of the stuff like this, I feel exactly, well, pretty much what I have stated today, you know, should be the case with us. Russian people have to change their views, or they just have to go back to the Russia Serbs to Serbia. Because if you cannot adjust yourself to the local laws, to the people, I strictly condemn any kind of form of racism. I strictly condemn any kind of form of Nazism, fascism, or anything like this. By the way, Jewish women are very beautiful in my opinion. It's a really matter of perception. Intelligent people, ambitious people, so much to learn from, giving people is what they are. I don't want anything from Israel. I'm going to tell you the truth. If anything, because of what have happened to me here in this place, because of the stuff these people have promised me they would do, and even collect the money through to me. In fact, I want to give to Israel. You get this? Because of this stuff, because it's gotta be just, because it's gotta be honest, because the only way that we can make progress in this world is through the honesty. We are not gonna make any progress through the lies, through fooling ourselves. The only thing we have accomplished by following this neo-Nazi hateful movements which are used to polarize our societies is basically really what have happened against us throughout the history, and basically what exactly is happening in this moment against us in our own countries, and what will grow into a tremendous genocide. I cannot even imagine if Russians would get a hold of Ukraine and Baltic states, what it would turn into a pool of blood, into an ocean of blood, those states. Totally the same situation with Poland and everybody else. And it's not because it will have to be done this way. No, it doesn't. I wish it would be the opposite. I wish we would all united. But we have to be realistic. And it's exactly because this stuff shouldn't happen. We have to condemn criminality and work according to the logic. Unity, because strength is in unity. And because of the politic in which Russia is going, I know for a fact that Russian people are going to love me more and more. Because a neo-Nazi politic from Berlin will ask, West is going to ask, is going to demand, and so China will love me too, is going to demand from Russia more and more and more to obey Nazism, fascism, purification of the Russians. So there's going to be a lot of Russian people, beautiful Russian people, mixed people with Chinese, mixed people with, I don't know, Asian, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and, I don't know, Armenia and Azerbaijan and so on. It's just gonna get like really, really difficult for these people. A lot of people also in the Russia that have I'm gonna say, a complex, mixed, whatever. It's gonna be very, very difficult for them because that money that Putin got, he's going to get few packages. Now he's got to understand 165 billion. He's got a technology through me, basically. I was the one loaded. I was the one who brought him to the table. I was the one who was loaded on a plane like a cattle. And in the end, it was just trying to get rid of me, basically. Just like they are trying to get rid of, her name is Rybka, that couple from Belarus, this cute young couple. This is not the way to do, folks. Doing the stuff I have told you about today, it's not going to save us, but it's also going to save Russian people. Now, Russian people that are in our countries got to start wake up and understand us and stand up basically for what is right against the bosses, against the criminal bosses over there in Kremlin. But, on their own, they also cannot do this. It's got to be something that is going to grow into, something that is going to give confidence to our people. Obviously, the politicians, I saw the other day was a Slovakian president here, Kiska, a very nice guy, a really, really beautiful guy. And he nicely have stated that politicians, ambitions, the personal ambitions of the politicians should not be placed in front of the nation's needs. I completely agree. I couldn't agree with him more than what I agree. I apologize to Mr. Zeman of the Czech Republic, the president. Deeply apologize for my views on Jews, on Israel, and I promise that I can't run from my past, and even if I would, and even if I could, I wouldn't want, because it's this past that will remind me of my mistakes, and it's what I have learned from, and it's what I'm going to use to build a better future. So basically, my saying this stuff, I don't actually have anything else to say. The next thing you're going to see is a bunch of the stuff that was destroyed. This thing actually went on for much longer time. It's just that I didn't realize because I didn't purchase so much in such a short time. But now it totally became obvious what went on. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. Again, God bless you, folks. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong staying a communist in your hearts. But, you know, because of these people, that are totally indifferent from the neo-Nazis, from the same type of, methods basically that they use. The only difference is on the surface is the color of the uniforms. Yeah, it's really necessary to equal communism with neo-Nazism, with a fascism. In fact, there are all kinds of hatreds. These are all neo-Nazism, fascism, hatred is actually form of the suicide for us. It's something that has to be strictly condemned, strictly rejected, and without absolutely any fear. I am totally for pushing Jews in the middle of our societies and totally accept them, embrace them, and in charge them for enforcing, creating perhaps not only the same laws that they have in Germany. Now, hypocrite Germany have they say the strictest laws in the world. It doesn't matter if you have the strictest laws in the world. What matters is basically is how you enforce or not those laws. And Germany, like I said, the word hypocrite, liar, double standards. So just put it this way. This is the stuff that has to be enforced in our countries. These are the values we got to stand for, and basically just bravely go forward and push into the future for the better future of our people, for our existence. And and unity is our power. My saying this, let's just go, and if you have, I don't know, 7, 8 hours of time, something like this, then you can watch the rest of the stuff, which is going to be pretty much about destruction of my personal property that went on for the last 6 months. And that along with a heavy-duty microwaving and X-raying and ultrasound 100%, because Miroslav Berger here, who wanted to, by the way, present himself as a really nice individual, nice guy, didn't have a problem to tell me that this is what's going to take place against me and stuff like this. Local police also didn't fail to mention that how they're going to watch and so on. Yeah, you're going to see this in continuation. This is just totally bizarre and totally criminal. It can't be more criminal than this. Young Russian people, and it goes the same for the Serbian people. They're very beautiful people, and they're going to need somebody to look up to. And if we're not going to form this thing, then there will be nobody to look up to other than to Putin. And you already know what Putin is all about.